Remember that,
locked.
Mr. Gill.
Yes.
Mr. Gill, remember that.
Keep your doors locked at all times.
Group shot.
Before we die, is that what you're trying to say?
Okay.
Yeah, in front of the mountain.
They want a picture of us before we go up so that they can make a comparative picture when we get back. And we're supposed to go up there and wave at them. And they're going to take a picture.
The Royal Scottish Mountain Climbing Society.
You want Joyce to take a picture?
This is the RSMCF.
Turn around.
RSMCF.
Why am I here? We're gonna get Scotland people in front.
Scotland people in front.
Scotland, come on, Chris.
Erin's got her sweater on, so it counts. The Royal Scottish Mountain Climbers.
Hey, you're in my way.
Wave goodbye.
Don't forget our coach. Bye. Coach Gill.
Where's Coach Jill?
Who's going to give last rites?
All right, here we go.
Scottish rites.
Hey, close up on the. Who is it? What did you call him?
The Royal Honorary Royal Scottish Mountain Climbers.
Coach Gill.
Coach Jill and assistant coach Carlian. Bob.
No.
Now, can you bring them in much with that? Can you see who is who?
No.
He's going to scale another place.
One of our climbers has decided to climb or not climb.
While the vast majority of the climbing party is approaching the
The
left haunch of the lion.
yes, okay. Mr. Pasher seems to have hit an impasse. Is that right? Is he watching us or them?
No, he's looking up. He's looking up towards there.
I think this is decision-making time for Mr.
I
Pasher.
think he's there to catch anyone who might possibly fall and roll down that.
Today is Monday, July 17th in Edinburgh, Scotland. The time is 7:48 p.m. 10 minutes ago, at approximately 7:38, the Royal Scottish Mountain Climbers, alias some members of ETC, began the challenge of a lifetime. They voluntarily chose to climb what has been called
Oh, by the way, while they're climbing this mountain, some of the group is also on the water flumes, and some of them went to the swimming pool. I guess there's some others that are washing clothes, and luggage is really needing organization.
looking for Mr. Pasher, scanning. So far, no luck.
He's there in the weeds.
I see him. I have him on camera. He has.
He felt the challenge was just too much.
So long, Mr. Pasher. I can't imagine why you don't want to climb that mountain.
They've really reached the summit. It'll be exciting to see if they're headed for the head.
If they choose to, they can climb along the crest of the mountain, which is the backbone of the lion, and continue down and then back over again up to the top of the head. We don't know what their final decision will be. There goes the last one over the crest of the hill. The crouching lion, you will see a lot of smoke billowing up. Apparently there was a fire of some sort, which the firemen are having a great deal of difficulty controlling. Our mountain climbers have disappeared from sight. We assume they have either climbed down the other side of the mountain, or are climbing down the backbone toward the head, or have climbed over to see what's happening with the firefighting situation.
It's focused now. Oh, she's recording.
Go ahead and talk. Tell who you see. I cannot see who's up there.
Congratulations, too.
Our climbers, some of our climbers anyway, have reached the top. We can't tell who yet. We're still trying to determine that. This is the top. The time is now 9:15. Our climbers have been on the mountain for about an hour and a half. We have not seen them for an hour. We have no idea where they have gone. Where?
Oh, he's right in the middle of the base of the lion's head.
Okay, we have found a climber
There he goes.
who is attempting to scale the face of the wall that forms the lion's head. We assume none of our mountain climbers are expert enough to attempt this. Party are coming to watch the descent from the mountain if they ever manage to show themselves on the other side of the mountain. Of course, Mr. Pasher, Mrs. Pasher, and Mrs. Lion are with us waiting for the descent as well. Two Frenchmen, two young men who have convinced at least two poor innocent young American girls that they're French. Observer of the descent.
Are they,
Obviously one who will not be able to ever make this climb.
unfortunately, I really want
See the descent from the mountain?
No, we're going to
Who's coming down?
First climber is down from the hill. Here he comes, Bob Hanscom. You have earned the victory wreath. You have met the challenge.
Pretty much say we just had a religious experience. It's the most incredible thing we've ever done. Took about 45 minutes to get up there. At the time, we were stepping over fires and smoke. When we got to the top, it was one of the most incredible sights that I've ever seen. And from there, we decided to go and hit some old castle ruins we saw on a lake in a park.
We have Aaron and we have Liz.
What? Here they come.
Here come the rest of the climbers. Here they come.
Hi! Hi, it is! We made it! We're not gonna go home and die, but look at my hands. They are filthy. Check out these hands. Mountain climbers! Party!
We dived in the lake.
Boo-boos and all. We would like to present you with this wreath
Until you slid down a
of
mountain
victory.
backwards.
It was fun though, see, wasn't it? You can hang that on your door.
Okay.
That's made from this.
Oh, you should.
That was great. Yeah, I guess we just keep going on the hill.
I went up at about 5 o'clock this morning. This is proof positive that Joyce did it. I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but the backside is a little ragged from sliding down the grass hills again.
all the way out. Right there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go in there.
You got the view for Diane.
Free crowd and it's wait now? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we do a whole song full of country westerns.
Yes, there is. Look at this house I bought for $2.99. Because they're on the house. They're like anything.
Everybody's worried about not having enough time to do it. What time is it?
No, I think it's attached to him. Hi, Mr. Gill. Hi.
We have American some pop or ice cream or something.
Where can Bob again. Hi, Jim.
Gateway number 4. All heavy oak doors like these with iron studs and spikes, these are just examples of the types of gates that hung in all the different positions. These are just over 200 years old. Back on the enemy. Gate number 5, the most important gate, the portcullis gate, the large iron grill gate that slid right down from inside the tower down to the ground with spikes along the bottom. The one they dropped in an emergency, covered by gate number 6, heavy oak doors again over in front of that. Very strong position here which was never breached. It's always like this here. Now, although Edinburgh Castle has been besieged many times, it has never been taken by direct assault with an army. Once taken by a small band of men, which is commemorated with this plaque here, to Thomas Randolph, the Earl of Moray, a nephew of King Robert the Bruce, and one of his army commanders. One night in 1313, Randolph came in over the wall, somewhere in this area here, with 30 men. During the night they put to the sword all the English garrison, almost 300 men. One of our good nights. They then destroyed all the buildings in the castle except a small chapel that we'll see higher up. This was Bruce's orders: do not destroy St. Margaret's Chapel. All the other buildings you see apart from the chapel have been built up again since the middle 14th century.
Giant's tent.
Stick my hand in there. I'm going to take a picture of what I have in here. Good day, it's I
I think you're smoking your boat. Which do you think?
I think it's hazy. Taking me. I'll have to show everybody that video because they won't believe I'm here. I'm not in that snapshot. Yeah.
To look up and see St. Michael. Windows in the Wall Memorial are interesting. Have a look as you go round. The 4 on the front there show the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn and winter. Now on the west side of the square here, this building is dated around 1700. It housed officers and servants. Inside now, there's a military museum, medals, decorations, uniforms, badges, all that type of stuff in this building here. And on
Jim can't have any.
Jim can't have it, it's my weakness. Look at Bob. Bob's getting that piggy deal. Bye, Bob. We'll see you down tomorrow.
So hot in there.
Oh, great.
Halt! Halt! Up! Set free! March! This tour is from the All-American Youth Show Choir, and that the normal turn up and go tour doesn't start for another 15 minutes, okay? So we're Alan, I'm your guide for tonight. I hope that any shivers that run up and down your spine will be nothing to do with the drop in temperature that will inevitably take place, but more to do with what you see or hear or feel as we go round the old dark closes and wines of the city of Edinburgh. All of our tours begin at this building here. This is the Market Cross. It's the centre of old Edinburgh. It's the place where people have met for hundreds of years, just as we're meeting here tonight. A place where merchants would buy and sell their goods around the perimeter, and where royal proclamations or important announcements would be made from above. But these pleasant uses of the Market Cross are not what we are interested in tonight. Because as well as being a place of meeting, a place of royal proclamation and a place of corn exchange, this was one of our favourite places of torture and execution. Which now, please, tied to the hurdles they are, and the hurdles are leant against the door of the Market Cross. Stripped to the waist, shall we do this? Stripped to the waist. And each is lashed 39 times. Thrice 13, the magical figure, 39 times each. After each 13, with the blood flowing and the ribbon flesh coming, hanging down their backs, salt would be taken. Salt would be taken at a crime. Because it was 1652 and we did not have a king in 1652. We had chopped his head off a few years earlier. We had the horrific Oliver Cromwell as Lord Protector. Therefore, to drink a toast to the health of the king in public was treason. And celebrate in one of Scotland's most important historical monuments. Celebrating indeed one of Scotland and Edinburgh's most important historical characters. Where are we looking at? Not at the Egyptian mummy. We are looking at this chic little beige square here. For underneath this are your cameras at the ready. Underneath this square where we now stand is one of Scotland's most important historical characters. He is none other than John Knox. You may have heard of Martin Luther in Germany, John Calvin in Switzerland, pupil of John Calvin. John Knox, stage manager of the Protestant Reformation in 1560, minister of the High Kirk of St Giles, arch enemy of Mary Queen of Scots, is right underneath here in Parking Bay 44.
Oh my God, how fitting.
You may want just walked over and are standing in the midst of between 10 and 12,000 dead bodies. And all the associated spirits that at this time of night and a little bit later, under cover of darkness, begin to manifest themselves around this area. Why? Because this was Edinburgh's principal city graveyard. The question then is, why do we no longer use it as such? Why do we now use it as a car park? That's what you're asking. The answer. To get a clue to the answer, we must think about education for a minute. Now, Scotland has always had a worldwide reputation for educational excellence. It's largely unfounded, but we don't spread that too much. One aspect above all others that was preeminent in Edinburgh was medicine. To have your medical training in Edinburgh during the 17th, 18th and 19th century was the place in the world. Why was that? To get a clue to the answer to that, we must think about money for a moment. Professors in these days at the university were not paid a straight salary. They were paid according to the number of students they could attract into their lecture theatres. Now, if we think of professors of anatomy for a moment, the professors that taught with wooden skeletons on the table or drawings or diagrams on the walls would not get the big numbers of students. The ones that would be the professors that had a constant and fresh supply of dead bodies.
And now we come to this.
Now, Edinburgh Town Council, in all its wisdom, had said that only one dead body per year could be taken up to the university for anatomical dissection. And as I'm sure you know yourself, you can only cut up a dead body.
Hey, Rob.
If any of you are finding difficulty seeing, please use the steps and you'll get a good view of what I'm about to do to the sound of the bells. This is Robert Johnson, a 23-year-old hardened criminal, one of the worst that Scotland has ever had to offer. The year is 1819, and the very spot where we now stand, we are going to hang Robert Johnson. But before we do this, we must once again use our historical imagination to recreate the scene as it would have looked in 1819. For the scene we have tonight is quite different. In 1819, dominating, everything is fine. It's going to be a good day's hanging. Robert Johnson is brought over the trapdoor, the noose round his neck, the Lord Provost gives the nod, the lever is pulled, the trapdoor opens, but, up on your tiptoes please, only half. The trapdoor half opens with the noose round his neck. His toes are touching the half-open trapdoor. This is not right. The common hangman comes up, removes the noose, takes Johnson back. A second time. Pulls the lever, the trapdoor opens perfectly. Fine, we'll try again. Over the trapdoor, the noose round his neck, signifying. Before this was built here in the early 19th century, stood where we are now, this tremendously fine building, a building, a photograph I'll pass round to let you see it close quarters. First built in 1386, dominating this whole area from the side of St Giles to the other side of that ridiculous Victorian statue that's been put up since, right to the middle of the High Street, cutting the High Street in half. You can see the double the price cobblestones scattered around the area which mark out the boundary of this. Came out of it as a free man or woman torture that went on in 300 years. Johnny One Arm haunted this area. This building that was flung up in the 60s with as much imagination as a 5-year-old with Lego bricks, but more importantly, the building that stood here before this was built, because standing here was Old Bank Close. This is where the Bank of Scotland, that building that you may have glanced at down the street there as we crossed the traffic lights, this is where the Bank of Scotland began its headquarters. And this is where Johnny One Arm haunted. But as there is no historic atmosphere around this hideous thing at all, what I want to do is to go to enter Old Bank Close. John Chiesley took out his pistol and shot the Lord President of the Court of Session dead in the back. Now, these were the days where if a crime was obviously committed and seen by many, who could appear on the streets of Edinburgh? The Edinburgh mob, who could be summoned from nowhere, take the culprit, do anything they wanted to him in terms of general beating, battering and torture, as long as they finished by taking him to the door of Remain, the booties. Why was this done? To find out if John Cheesley had any accomplices in his assassination of the Lord President. As first 23 years of her life in this area of Edinburgh, the Grassmarket. Another one of our popular places of execution. Why was this popular? Because first of all it was such a wide open area, but also, and although we don't, to begin a new life in the city of Newcastle, leaving Edinburgh and Scotland forever. Maggie spent the first night of her journey in the border town of Kelso. She spent the night in the Cross Keys Hotel, a very fine hotel that still exists today. Now, so happy was Maggie in this hotel, so well did she get on with the couple who owned it, that Maggie asked the couple if she could stay permanently and work in return for her board and lodging. The couple took to Maggie also. They needed extra help in the hotel, and so they agreed. And thus Maggie begins her new life in the border town of Kelso. Now, not only did Maggie get on very well with the couple who owned it, somebody knows what's coming next, but she also got on particularly well with the couple's eldest son.
What a coincidence!
Now, a relationship develops between this young couple, a relationship that gets closer and closer and closer. And as time passes, sadly, and I know I shouldn't be speaking about these things to such a young group, but one of the great residential areas of the old town, it's now owned by the university and are the halls of residence of the Divinity Department of Edinburgh University. But it's used as a summer school also for people who are not studying divinity, as you see them over there playing football. I want to pass around this picture here to let you see, this is not a historical source, it's a reconstructed picture, but it is based on evidence, of course, what the old town of Edinburgh used to look like. If you imagine the old town of Edinburgh as a fish, with the head of the fish as the castle, the tail as the Palace of Holyrood House, the backbone being the Royal Mile, and all the fish bones, the closes and wines that we've been going up and down one or two of tonight. We started at the Market Cross, we've gone past St Giles, we've gone in, we're now across the road and are going to wend our way down a little bit. The old town of Edinburgh, of course, I beg your pardon, the new town was not built at this time. You've seen Princes Street Gardens, you have sung in Princes Street Gardens, for goodness sake. And had you been singing in Princes Street Gardens 300 years ago, you'd all be drowned, because Princes Street Gardens used to be a loch, the Nor Loch. We had three functions mainly for the Nor Loch: fishing, dumping refuse, and ducking witches. And it's witches that I want to speak of. Fairly international. The second one, as far as I can gather, is almost unique to Scotland. The first one, of course, was based on the medieval and post-Renaissance logic of, if you were considered a witch, you'd be put on trial. You'd be taken down to a large area of water, put on a stool, placed into the water. If you sank, you were innocent. If you floated, you were guilty.
Oh, what a system.
And you were taken up to the castle esplanade and burnt at the stake. That was the logic. Listening now, this is very historically accurate. You may consider it a little bit rude, but it's not. If it was decided, and all you needed, of course, was a quorum of the Edinburgh mob to say she's a witch, if it was decided that, this is Katie here? This is Katie. A good witch name. If it was decided that Katie was a prospective witch, then I would be employed to decide to find out. Every Scottish town had a highly skilled, highly professional witch hunter going to have an easy time. I just look for moles or birthmarks. But that's easy. I earn my money in about 5 minutes doing it that way. The spot that feels no pain. We know that moles and birthmarks are the devil's spot. But if Katie doesn't have any of these things, then this is where my skill really has to come into the fore.
What are the devil's spots?
Moles?
I don't put like right there.
Can I pierce?
Can I pierce?
No. We'll do it later. And, behave yourself, young man. After this one, okay? No. Well, can you tell Andrew MacLeod and yourself to shut your mouths while I'm telling a story? Now, some of the things I've been saying tonight, you may have thought I was making them up as I go along. But this one tonight, this one now, is so outrageous, it has to be true. It has to be true. What I want to do, and if these obnoxious little cretins up in the window stop shouting out the window, then we'll move on to another spot and I'll expel them when the term starts next. Windows for the day. And this is the scene of 1829 when William Burke is hanged. Now, also let me pass this round just to let you see that Mercatures is right up to date. And we will move on to another spot because I want us to concentrate on this, and I'll get these morons later. This is William Burke as he is today, and you can go and see him any day you wish in the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh.
Wow.
Right? Now, the Royal College of Surgeons. Pass that round and we'll move. And what I want to do is to describe to you the actual execution of William Burke, who was not a body snatcher. And don't allow yourself to read any history books that say he was a body snatcher. He wasn't. He was a mass murderer. And there's a subtle difference in these things. We go for accuracy in history. Now, the days of hanging, drawing, quartering, disemboweling, and bowel burning before your very eyes, that was gone by the early 19th century. What we were into now, 1829, was public dissection. That was the end. Public dissection. For a few minutes ago, he is executed, and that's enough. But that's not enough for William Burke. He is then taken, and imagine this happening to Margaret. Imagine this happening to Mark step by step as I take you through this imaginatively. We take William Burke's dead body and we lay it out on a table. And then we remove all his clothes. We then bring 3 bucketfuls of maggots towards his dead body. And we pour the maggots all over his skin and allow the maggots to eat up his skin.
That's disgusting.
Not totally.
Oh, no.
Listen now, not totally, but just enough to turn his skin into something like a sheet of postage stamps so that his skin can be torn off and sold as souvenirs to the Edinburgh mob.
Yes, I love your... Where were you in Ohio? I was in Kentucky. What town? I wrote it down in my journal because it's such a rarity.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
I do remember.
We should have made that an announcement.
We tried. No one listened to us.
From London.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Don't forget the other side.
You do realize the microphone is on, so all that you say is recorded for posterity.
This is not a me.
Don't get any shots of our room. My mom will forbid me to ever take it.
Parliament. There's Big Ben.
Check your watch.
Scotland Yard.
Whitehall Apartments. Moving over.
It's a low tide right now. The tide rises about 21 feet.